So I'm talking with Rob Callister for Onchan, and obviously now a minister. We're going to try and do a separate piece about everything there, but it may just cross over quite a lot here because this is the year ahead we're talking about, which in itself will bring so much into, well, health and social care is your baby. First of all, how delighted were you to take this position? Let's deal with that one, and because obviously you have been sort of looking for a position, I think.
No, I think, as I say, I was very focused on the positions I have, and I think if you speak to any political member, that's always the case. The Chief Minister rang me. I was just about to go on holiday. I was actually in a hotel in London, asked me if I would consider taking up the position of Health and Social Care Minister. Obviously, I was delighted to accept that invitation. Obviously, it meant that I had to say goodbye to a lot of good friends and colleagues after 6 years working within tourism and motorsport. But I was happy to take on that challenge. And it is a new challenge, and it almost feels like I'm having to start from scratch because I'm having to learn something completely new. But again, I've gone into the department today and I am starting to speak to the team, and we're starting to look at the department as a whole. I think I want to put on record that I think I've got a really good political team with good experience in there. I think the previous minister, Laurie Hooper, has laid some foundations down. I think Manx Care have laid down some good foundations in their first year of running the service on behalf of the department. So I've got so much to learn, but I'm looking forward to the challenge.
Well, you were giving a speech at the government conference, weren't you? Within,
yeah.
It seemed like hours of taking the position up, but maybe days, but anyway.
No, it was literally hours. Wow. And I had spent the whole of the weekend prior to the conference putting together a speech. And I managed to deliver that. It was a 16-minute speech. Obviously, answering questions was a little bit more difficult because of my depth of knowledge is not there. And I understand and acknowledge that also, that I've got so much to learn, but I'm looking so much to this challenge.
Okay, well, as I say, we'll park this for now. But I'm intrigued to know about you and the year ahead. And if we can sort of separate these off, what will this leave you time to be getting on with then elsewhere? Or is it completely, in your view, probably a time-consuming, fully paid-up job in itself?
It is a fully paid-up position. I think most positions within, as elected members, you need to give 100% to. This definitely will, and it's probably going to take more of my time than anything else previously because I want to make sure that I'm delivering on behalf of the people of this island, that people, do have access to doctors, to nurses, and I don't want to go into a separate interview we're going to do. But people do need to have access to a good health service. But I have to acknowledge, I think Manx Care have done a good job in the first year.
Okay, well, that's on the record. That's interesting. Up to now, of course, like anybody, being a backbencher to some degree, you had that position that you could ask more questions and be, involved as a backbencher. Yeah. That now changes, doesn't it?
Not really. I don't think I will change. I think I asked questions when I felt it was appropriate. And I asked questions when I couldn't get the answers via email or correspondence, because most of the time when constituents contact you and say, Rob, can you deal with this? It is far more easier for me to suddenly pick it up, send it to the department, and I get a response pretty quickly. If I have to raise a question on a particular point, then it has to go through the process of Tynwald, which can take up to 2 weeks. Most of the time, I want to get things done for my constituents, so when they contact me, I'll pick it up and I'll try my very best, as I always have done in the last 6 years.
Do you put down your things, though, that you stand by these before you go into Coman, don't you? You still allowed your flexibility if you have particular points you laid down? You
have your manifesto pledges, and obviously that will be looked probably by the Chief Secretary and others to see where you stand on certain points. I actually attended my first Council of Ministers meetings this week, and I thought it was good. It was a good collective of people that are just desperately trying to do the best for this island. And I think I'm looking forward to that. But it was quite nerve-wracking to go into that setting, with colleagues who've been in there for 9 months. But again, I look forward to working with them in the coming weeks, months and years, hopefully.
You talk about the pressure in MU. I mean, this is going to be a lot more, surely, isn't it?
I think the baptism of fire very much was realised in the first 24 hours. I think within the first 24 hours of the announcement coming out, I probably received the best part of 100 to 250 emails, and I got through them. I responded to them. But hopefully things will calm down. I think we need to understand that our department's responsibility and what is the responsibilities of Manx Care, and again we can touch on that later. But from my point of view is I definitely want to see some change, and I want people to feel And I think most people do. They respect the health service and social care service on the island, but what we need to do is identify as areas of concerns and make sure it is better for those people that need those services.
So no other private members' bills you'll be looking at this year then?
Definitely no private members' bills unless a constituent contacts me on a certain item, which then I might be able to take through the council or to get further advice. But at the moment, my focus will be very much on delivering my sort of department's promises.
And you say it's so full time. I mean, it just kind of takes up all. This is where I'm trying to get the balance between what you can do then for Onchan and what you're going to do for the old man.
And as I've said in a post, my constituents need me. I will be there, and I will help them on everything I can. But I think it's just trying to manage the expectations. If people contact you, you can't, as an MHK, always help people because there is something in the way sometimes, or the service is not available, or whatever. But it doesn't mean that I haven't tried, and I've always done that on behalf of constituents. I'm passionate to serve the people of Onchan, and even now in this current post, I hope people still contact me or come to my surgeries. I'll always be there for people if they need me.
What sort of people turn up to surgeries? Do you have a lot of people?
Yeah, I normally get a handful of people. Most of the time it can be regulars, which is very nice to us to see. But a lot of the time it does normally relate to something that's happened in health service, or there's something with DOI. And normally what happens is I have the surgery, I'll go home, I'll draft the emails and get it sent straight away. So they know I'm engaged and I've done it, because I haven't got the time to leave things behind myself. So I try to get things done straight away and try to get the answers or the information or the help that they need.
What sort of handover do you get when you get the ministerial position? I mean, do you get briefed by the outgoing Mr. Hooper? I mean, or is it civil service? I'm just trying to get an idea, how you get up to speed. So
I came back to the island, I think on the Thursday. We then had the Tynwald service at St John's. I spoke to Mr. Hooper briefly on the Friday afternoon. I also had to go to Government House for the signing of the warrant. I had about 2 hours with Mr. Hooper, and then after that I'm on my own. But I know, again, as I've said previously, that there is so much support there if I need it.
Okay, so the Canon administration, are you a pro person for what
yeah,
it's doing?
I think we've got to go through the scoring, which is, I know you're
at the very end. Yeah, we've got another minute. Yeah.
Well, I think, as I've said, I think this administration, and it includes backbenchers and the Council of Ministers, I think we've come in and we've had to run straight away. As I've said, we've had Brexit, we've had the effects of COVID, and now we have the cost of living crisis. We've never had time to breathe. And I compare this administration to the last administration. I felt we had at least 12 months to settle in, to look around us, to have a look at what the job entailed. This one, we've been on a treadmill ever since, and we're still not off it, because our focus at this administration should be on housing, it should be on education, it should be on health, improving all of those services for the people of this island. But we've not been able to do it because we're having to deal with so many current issues.
Are you on board though with the direction of travel?
Yes, I think I voted for this Chief Minister. I voted for his programme, his manifesto, or if you want to call it, and I haven't changed that. And now, even as a backbencher, I supported that.
Have you got plans to be the minister in this place, health and social care, for the duration, or do you leave yourself open to be moved if you?
That's
can?
not my call, but I'd like. I would like to see this administration through as the health minister, because I want to deliver those changes.
And do you think that's possible with all the? They've had a few, haven't they, recently, and there's still, again, the other interview no doubt will cover more of this. There's been turmoil, to say the least.
I think the answer is yes. I think I have a good working relationship with Teresa Cope. That started as a backbench MHK. She was always very engaging, always willing to help when I asked her inquiries. So I have no problems with working with Manx Care. The problem it will be is us holding Manx Care to account with regard to the delivery, but also acknowledging the pressures and the challenges that they have, and we can cover that again.
Yeah. Okay. Let's have some scores then. Yourself, how have you done? Out of 10?
I think myself, from how I've represented this island, how I've represented constituents, I think I'd score myself a 7 or an 8. But I acknowledge that constituents in Onchan may not have seen me as much this administration.
Which you said already.
They've done.
It's interesting that, because that's not many people say that. So
I think from a government point of view, I think this administration, I think it's a 7 or an 8. But again, I think we have to acknowledge that this government is jumping from one situation or one problem or one crisis, and it's not governments making these are global situations: Brexit, COVID, and now with cost of living. These are global problems. So I absolutely, I think as a society and as a community, we should acknowledge that. And I think the other one is the department. I always use 3. Department, again, I think that's an 8 because we have bounced back with our tourism. I think we're looking to bring back around 275,000 visitors to our island, which is great news. We've brought back the TT, we've brought back Manx Grand Prix, and we've brought back a load of other events. So yeah, top marks to those teams.